the Pod Network Entertainment.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up that point kasi ako naman, naisip ko agad na, hala, baka pumunta siya sa ibang company. And hindi ko naisip na possible yon because of the very convenient travel schedule that she's always had with Seth Rollins. Diba? They're married, they have a kid together. Parang ang weird naman and counterintuitive kung yung isa nasa WWE, yung isa nasa kabila. Tapos, how do they take care of the child? Diba? How do those travel schedules work out? It's a nightmare logistically to even think about, much less live it. But the idea of her really just stopping everything to focus on being a full-time mom was not something I'd considered.
Who's ready for story time?
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to him.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening...
And you are listening...
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
Listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C and Emile Nate checking in after a hot and wet and wild weekend of wrestling. Damn.
Yeah.
Ang daming ganap. For better or worse. Ang daming ganap. Ang dami natin pag-uusapan, Emile.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is the busiest wrestling weekend we had since WrestleMania. You know, mas busy pa nga to, I think, than WrestleMania, but it was a great weekend of wrestling for all of us.
I'm gonna venture out and say na this was worse than WrestleMania in terms of the activity and everything na kailangan pag-usapan. Kasi in WrestleMania weekend, we just had WrestleMania 40. So we had something from WWE, we had something from AEW, we have something from the local scene. So like, ang dami talaga, ang dami natin i-unpack ngayon. So much so that we're gonna bypass our normal plugs. And we're probably going to get to it in the Picks of the Week episode, which should be up on your feeds by the time you're listening to this. And if you missed those really good plugs, then you can also catch them on the live stream on Thursday at 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. Let's start with the biggest piece of news coming out of the weekend. Actually, Monday na US time, kasi we're recording this Tuesday night, Manila time. And that is the possibility that Becky Lynch is reportedly not re-signing with WWE. So, ang nireport ng Fightful Select as of the morning of the May 27 Monday Night Raw, hindi pa raw nag-agree sina Becky Lynch at ang WWE to a new contract. So, nag-uusap naman daw sila pero walang balita yung Fightful how close they are to a new agreement. Binalita rin nila that Becky's contract expires on June 1 on Saturday US time, which means that she could be a free agent for the first time since she joined WWE in 2013, 11 long years with the biggest wrestling company in the world. There's an added note here from the report na nag-expect daw si Becky ng big money offer from WWE to retain her services, possibly the biggest contract in the history of women's wrestling na deserved din naman, right? But coming out of Monday Night Raw, we saw na she lost the steel cage match against Liv Morgan, which was her rematch for the Women's World Championship. So, Emile, how possible do you think this is na hindi na babalik si Becky sa WWE? That was her curtain call. She said goodbye, went out on her back, and really put Liv Morgan over on top as the next champion now that she's supposedly not coming back.
I think there is, for me, a 40% chance na this might be it for her in WWE. Especially now, her situation, she's a mother. And sometimes for wrestlers na naging ina, doon na sila nagre-retire. So for me, it's more likely that she actually retires rather than go to other promotions Or
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, that's yun yung nakikita kong angle dito eh. Others are saying, oh, she might go to AEW, she might go to these other places, but it's much more likely that she retires for good. Kasi let's all remember, she already retired before eh, because of an injury as well. And binigyan siya ng second chance ng WWE. And, you know, I think she would say it na sobrang na-maximize ng WWE sobrang na-maximize niya and ng WWE yung kanyang second run as a wrestler. So, plus the
Second
way
run meaning yung comeback niya,
yeah, the
or
comeback. Yeah, the
Yeah,
comeback from 2014 until now. The last 10 years of Becky Lynch, diba? So,
right. So you're calling it the second run kasi she did retire for like 7 years.
yeah, she did.
Okay. Just
So,
clarifying.
yep. So, plus the way they wrote it off, they wrote her off in the story, parang ano eh, parang may conclusion because with other wrestlers, if their contract is expiring or walang kasiguraduhan whether or not they're gonna stay, parang they leave a little bit of opening there na if they come back, this is what they're gonna do. But with Becky, she lost the match and then that's it. You know, so there's a big possibility na it's either just two things for me. I'm really counting out the possibility of her going to other promotions because I don't think if she is asking for that big money offer, I don't think any other promotion, even AEW at this point, can offer that to her. So it's a two possibilities. She takes a break kasi again, ano eh, malit pa yung anak nila ni Seth eh. So she's gonna take some time off. The same way as Gargano. If you would remember Johnny
Yeah.
Gargano from 2021, nag-expire din yung contract, but it almost took half a year before
Yeah.
he came back.
Mhm.
You know, kasi kakapanak lang din ni Candice nun. So
Tapos
I'm
sumakto na si Triple H na yung nag-take over for creative.
exactly. So it's either that or retirement. Yun lang. Yun yung dalawang scenarios na nakikita ko.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up that point kasi ako naman, naisip ko agad na, hala, baka pumunta siya sa ibang company. And hindi ko naisip na possible yon because of the very convenient travel schedule that she's always had with Seth Rollins. Diba? They're married, they have a kid together. Parang ang weird naman and counterintuitive kung yung isa nasa WWE, yung isa nasa kabila. Tapos, how do they take care of the child? Diba? How do those travel schedules work out? It's a nightmare logistically to even think about, much less live it. But the idea of her really just stopping everything to focus on being a full-time mom was not something I'd considered. So that's a great insight that you brought to the table, Emile. I may work for the company pero wala rin akong insight dito. Obviously, pare-pareho tayo mga walang alam. We're not in the room where it happens. So kung magkaalaman, edi sabay-sabay na lang natin mababasa, 'di ba, sa mga nagre-report. So all I can say is that I want what's best for Becky and her family. Syempre, that includes Seth. And kung ano man yung decision nila that they feel is the best business and maybe personal decision for all parties involved, then as a fan, I support it. Ganun ka simple.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Now, punta tayo sa local stuff. Ano mas gusto mo? Good news, bad news?
Let's talk about the bad news first kasi it sets up the next thing that will happen.
Okay. Okay, sige, simulan muna natin dun sa pasabog ng MWF, which I was a part of, by the way, for full transparency. Na nagsara na ang MWF. Nagsara na po ang tindahan. Nag-announce ang executive producers, TBT Entertainment, that MWF is ceasing all MWF branded activities. Wala na yung title history, the title lineage, di na magpapatuloy. The last episode of MWF Action Novela was yesterday, May 27. And I believe our Rock of Manila will just be airing reruns until June 30, which is the end of the TV deal, to my knowledge. So that's the TLDR. I can't go into specifics on the record. I can't explain more details other than, these things happen. Nag-aaway-away yung mga nasa itaas. And to borrow from Mike Shinoda in one of his songs back in 2007, when the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. In this case, wala namang sobrang yaman na nagpiprint ng pera from their rear ends na nakipag-away sa isa't isa. At hindi naman kami lahat sobrang hirap or sobrang dukha. But you get the picture. Pag yung mga
Yeah.
nasa taas, yung mga nag-away, apektado lahat na nasa baba. Okay? So, MWF is done. For the rest of us, na hindi part ng decision na yon, hindi part nung tinatawag nilang reverse exodus, hindi part nung mga taong hindi masaya sa whatever developments that led to MWF closing its doors. I don't know. It's a wait and see type of thing. And siguro I'll probably shed a little bit more light on it when we talk about NextCon, which also involves a lot of people from the former, now defunct MWF. Emile, your reactions as a fan.
Yeah, this news hit me like a truck. Kasi ano we were looking forward to DexCon and also Republica sana in a couple of weeks. So it was really a great time to be a local wrestling fan in the last couple of months. This year actually. So daming ganap this year. So and at the end of last year when they announced all these things, the future was looking bright, diba, for MWF. They had the TV deal, they were scheduled to go back to UP. So things were looking bright. Wala namang nag-aakala na mangyayari tong lahat. This wasn't on anyone's bingo card in their wrestling here in 2024. And so sobrang nakakabigla yung nangyari. Kahit meron na kaming nasisense na parang problem na the fact that they moved Republica from was supposed to be May 12 to June 9th. Parang that's weird. What happened? Di ko alam kung ano nangyari, pero yun yung pinag-uusapan namin. We were thinking of theories as to why it got moved. And then now suddenly biglang wala na. The next time we heard from them was this news. So it's shocking as a fan, nakakalungkot din as a fan because ngayon, nung last year lang ako talagang nag-start na to be more active in terms of watching the local stuff. And MWF na yung naabutan ko. MWF na yung the promotion where I started following. And
De bias ka, nandun kasi kami.
yeah, I admit it's also that's also why. Say, you guys are awesome. And so yun, wala na. Yeah, like you said, those things happen in wrestling, and we just have to accept it, move on. But yung memories na yun ng MWF for me, it's something that I will treasure for the rest of my life. Kasi ang dami kong like na-check sa bucket list ko as a wrestling fan because of MWF.
Okay, I'm gonna speak personally here and not on behalf of anybody. So ako lang. First off, I always thought na napaka-weird ng decision na mag-book ng show on Mother's Day. For a Catholic country or a predominantly Catholic country na very matriarchal, to schedule any event to run against Mother's Day was a brain-neutral move, to borrow from Clark Kellogg. Weird. Pero sige, whatever. Yun nga, na-postpone di ba? Second, you're right, Emile, sayang. Pati ako nasasayangan. Siyempre, part ako nun eh. We were the first promotion of the modern era na nakaland ng TV deal. Tangina, who does that? Who gets to do that?
Yeah.
Diba? We landed a TV deal. And we would do all these shoots. And a lot of people worked very hard on those episodes. So, to throw it all away sa isang iglap, nakakabwisit siya. Third, again, just me here thinking out loud, nakakabwisit siya in the context of Southeast Asian wrestling. Na I wouldn't say we were the first kasi Singapore and Malaysia were there before we were. But we were there before Thailand, before Vietnam started doing their thing. And those scenes are all thriving, or at the very least chugging along. And yet, dito sa Pinas, diba, we had a big setback nung nagka-pandemya, nagkandaleche-leche lahat. And then this happens again. Nakakabwisit siya. Kasi it's one step forward, 3 steps back. Nakakabwisit. And I can't really speak more to it kasi hindi naman ako part ng management. And there are a lot of details that went on behind the scenes na hindi ko rin pwedeng isiwalat dito.
Yep.
All I can tell you is that this could have been avoided, and that a lot of the people who were working very hard on Pinoy wrestling as a whole, as a scene, are looking forward to what's next. Kasi tulad nung statement na nirelease na marami sa mga kasamahan ko from the now defunct MWF, hindi nila at hindi namin hahayaan na diyan matapos yung story ng Pinoy wrestling. You know? On a personal level, we put in too much work to build new stars like Main Max, diba? As the new babyface hero for 2024, to just let it go down the drain ng basta-basta. Nakakabwisit lang talaga na it had to happen this way. So, as they say, abangan ang susunod na kabanata.
Yeah.
I can't tell you any more than that, really.
Mm.
And yung pagsara ng MWF, which we had known for a few days before in-announce officially nung Sabado, was very suspect timing kasi it was on the eve of DexCon Decada, which, on the flip side, is a celebration of 10 years of Pinoy wrestling na merong napaka-somber at bittersweet na backdrop given na, yun nga, formally na nagsarang MWF. So let's talk about DexCon Decada, a show that is run by a different group of people. You have the people from the Nutcase, the people from Kayfabe Cafe, our friend of the podcast, Martin Vicencio, SJM or St. John Martin, and several other people who are involved in the operation. And syempre, yung mga napaka-generous na sponsors. And co-produced by a lot of the people who run the marketing, the production side of MWF. So, coming out of DexCon Decada, people were buzzing in a weird way kasi napaka-weird nung vibes eh.
Yeah.
So, I was talking to people about this, and I said, coming out of the show, which other people from the industry also echoed back to me, na it felt better than PWR Homecoming. And I know you can't speak to that kasi wala ka nun.
Wala, yeah.
Pero ako nandun ako for both. And parang mas GVs ako coming out of DexCon Decada than Homecoming. And Homecoming at the time, we thought was the biggest event ever. Because in terms of like money, in terms of scale, it was the biggest event. Not gonna lie. But something about DexCon Decada was more magical to me as a performer and as someone from the business than Homecoming. What did you think coming out of that event?
Same thing then. After the show, I felt like years from now we'll look back at TexCon as a landmark moment in Philippine wrestling. Probably one of the most important moments in Philippine wrestling. Kasi of the circumstances, guy. Like I was watching the show with ABL, our friend ABL Anselmo, and he said the show felt like the original ECW One Night Stand, where you're celebrating all of this, but there's also the fact that after this show, it's probably gonna be a while. Na it's gonna be a while before we see the next one. So there's a mix of celebration and this somber feeling of sadness, and then parang may farewell element because there were people who cut promos, and the crowd were ano eh, nagkakaroon ng mixed emotions talaga throughout the show. Na may mga masayang moments, meron ding mga moments na nakakalungkot because of the fact that MWF has closed its doors. So may ganun na feeling. But one thing I realized after the show is that I was thinking about is the show felt like there was some reassurance that despite all of this, Philippine wrestling lives and it's here to stay.
I like
So
your analogy of comparing it to ECW One Night Stand. I did feel that as well. I wish I could have had a Paul Heyman moment where I would have had like a promo like he did, diba? That spirited promo he did to kick off the show. But iba yung papel ko eh. I in the words of The Rock, I knew my role and I shut my mouth until the very end. And even then I wasn't, Mr. C the heel. I was just me, telling people how ang daming paraan para suportahan yung local wrestling. Na it doesn't have to be limited to this or that. Diba? Kasi truth is, the scene does need support. And the most important piece of support that the community can give is through monetary ways, monetary means. People are saying that Dexcon Decada was probably the greatest show in Philippine wrestling history. And while I'm not going to jump the gun and say that just yet, people are also saying that the main event, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jake De Leon, is arguably the best match in Philippine wrestling history. I can't speak to that unbiased because I announced that match. What do you think, Emile?
I think I will also agree that this is the best match in Philippine wrestling history. The scene is young, 10 years, and um yung experiences ko kasi it's only sample size eh. Like I've only been watching live locally for a year. But for me, this is coming from me, this is my opinion. This is the greatest match I've ever seen in my life. And I don't think I think it will be this way for a long time. So for people to say to also echo the same feelings as I have and say that this is the best match in Philippine wrestling history, and these fans have been have been watching local wrestling for such a long time. I think may validity dun sa point na yun eh. Na if they've been watching wrestling for a long time, and for them, what happened last Sunday was the main event was the best match in Philippine wrestling history, then I think may validity may validity dun sa point na sinasabi nila. You know, so I will also agree. I will also echo the same statement. And kasi rare lang, I think it's rare na magkaroon ng time limit draw. And it's always a special spectacle to see a time limit draw
No,
in
it's not.
wrestling.
Because the very first time limit draw that
Oh,
I
yun.
witnessed and was sort of a part of, it was a huge shit show.
Oh, the first one that okay. But they because they're so good na
They being Zack Sabre Jr. and Jake De Leon,
yes,
huh?
yes. Na for us, I mean for me, the time limit draw was the best possible conclusion out of that match.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was
Mhm.
like I was at the 25th minute, just the 25th minute mark. I was already convinced that this was going to be a draw because why go
Wow.
that long if it's not going to be a draw?
Wow. Look at you. Already knowing, oh, magbo-Broadway to, pare.
So
What did you
uh
think of the last 2 minutes call when the entire time it was
as
X minutes remaining?
as a basketball fan, that was really good. I love that stand. That was a really good last 2 minutes. Kasi the way you say it, ganun eh. Ganun yung pagkakasabi talaga ng mga PA announcers in basketball games when it's the last two. It's such a Pinoy thing to do because I don't think they do that in other leagues as well. So it's such a Pinoy thing to do. So because you did that, I popped when you did that last 2 minutes thing. Kasi yun nga, sabi mo, it's usually last 5 minutes or a minute left. But because it's Philippine wrestling and it is something that is ingrained in Philippine culture, that last 2 minutes was a great call.
That's how you
And
not beat someone over the head with the culture.
oh yeah, and dun na din nag-start magsigawan lahat ng tao non-stop. When you um when you declared that it was only 2 minutes left because they knew that oh shit, this is probably gonna be a draw, and they were anticipating if it's not gonna be a draw, if magbabuzzer beater ba si CSJ with the win. So nagcrescendo yun lahat after you did that last 2 minute thing.
Yeah, I gotta say, it was such a privilege to stand in the ring at the same time as ZSJ and JDL and one of the OG referees in the
Ah,
Philippine wrestling modern era, which is OL Babasa or Matt Rojas. That's his ring name. Such an honor and a privilege that I was lucky enough to have, and to be part of that match in that way as the ring announcer. It was so fun just escalating the intensity with each call that I had to make regarding the time and even announcing them, doing their ring intros. Normally, JDL is Mr. Philippine Wrestling, but because I had the mic in that moment, I could break character for a second and go, for the last 10 years, this man has been Mr. Philippine Wrestling, di ba?
Yeah.
It's those little things which I take pride and take joy in. So yun, kinuwento ko lang because it was such a moment talaga na I was so lucky to be in that position.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about coming out of Dexcon Decada and the curtain call moments, the main event, all of that? Any other things you want to say?
Yeah, yung ano that after the main event nga no, a lot of the people in the crowd got emotional because yun na nga there was a bittersweet feeling talaga that weekend na chapter closes and we await for a new one. And may uncertainty pa as to uh when is that new one gonna arrive. But at the same time, like I said earlier, there was a reassurance na nakuha namin from all of you na the local scene, the Philippine wrestling scene is here to stay. And that's all we need. And sobrang gumaan yung feeling namin after the show.
All right. So yeah, thank you to everyone who attended Dexcon Decada, everyone who sent their congratulations, everyone who was part of the show in any way, shape, or form. To those who have been attending Philippine wrestling shows for the last however many years, maraming salamat. To those who were there for the first time, maraming salamat din. And best believe that's not the last time something like that is ever going to happen over our dead bodies, as they say. So, ayun, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will flip on over to WWE and AEW. Pag-usapan natin yung dalawang malaking pay-per-views or PLEs right after a quick word from our other podcasts on the Pod Network.
Parents, this is your cheat code to understanding your gamer kid. This is Keri Kita, Guide for Non-Gamer Parents. I'm Ray.
And I'm Joey. Hardcore gamers, hardcore parents. Let's learn from each other. Dito,
Keri Kita.
All right, Ro Moran has just joined us on the pod. Real life happens, work happens. So please forgive us for not starting complete. But Ro, you're basically, you and I are basically part of the OGs at this point. So, we all had that moment at the end of Dexcon Decada where we were acknowledged as, having been there for the entire ass decade. So what do you think about how Dexcon Decada all went down? May feelings ka ba na gusto mo i-share? Kasi kanina bago ka pumasok, sharing of thoughts, feelings, angst, and pains na ako eh. Nag-estifap na ako.
Well, I wish I was there to see that, to hear that. But I don't know. A lot of people are sad about MWF closing, and they should. They rightfully should. It was a lot of people's hard work. It was a lot of people's effort. It was a lot of people's growth in the wrestling business. For a lot of the kids and the not so kids in the scene right now, it was how they became part of the pro wrestling industry, and that's no small thing. But like I said in my post right before the show, uh, kami tayo, we're not defined by three letters. It's something I've learned over 10 years in this place, right? We're not defined by three letters anymore. Like once it happens to you, you kind of eventually get over it because life will go on. The fighting spirit is what defines us as pro wrestlers. Because if you let the closing of one company like end you and your career, then maybe you weren't supposed to be here, Pero what I love about Dexcon is that it resonates with me. It speaks to me as a pro wrestler and as a pro wrestling fan, and that's why I accepted the invite uh, all those months ago. And I love what it's doing. I love what Rosh and the team are doing. Martin V, SJM, Linus are doing. They're really great. They espouse the same values I do, and that's why I feel hopeful about the future because it's not just going to be them; it's also going to be a bunch of other like-minded people who have their own ideas about pro wrestling, which I also agree with. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to how everyone picks up from the ashes. I think it's all pretty clear that we're going to be rebuilding from the ashes. I think that much we can say for sure. Well, even though we don't have details just yet, diba? So, I mean, you've seen all the posts. Everyone is already saying that they're not going to take this lying down, diba? So, for you, Emile, a fan of the game, you can be sure na may parating pa, 'di ba? Kasi hindi kami magpapatalo, hindi naman talaga magpapatalo yung mga naiwan na napag-iwanan. Naulila pala, yung pala, yung mga naulila ng mga pangyayari. So, thank you, Dexcon. It was a really fitting tribute to the 10 years. It's funny because no one else was really doing that. And parang when you look at it, no one was really gonna do that. MWF didn't feel like it was gonna do that.
No,
Uh,
MWF was.
I don't
I
know.
can tell you that
Okay.
they were planning something like a PWR one
No,
night
no, no.
stand.
Iba pa yun eh. Okay, iba
Right.
yun eh. That's like,
With some bad ideas that I immediately told them were repug.
I didn't know
Hindi,
that. Wow.
iba yun eh. That's a celebration, yes, but also it's kind of masturbatory in a way.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
It's for the pops. It's for the pops. Okay, you were here for PWR. Remember this? So,
Mm.
OG fans like Emile Nate here. So,
remember Epitaph
yeah, diba?
and D. Nelson Jr.
Babalik pa natin si Apocalypse. So, we gonna do that stuff. I love Apocalypse. Don't get me wrong.
Hey, Apocalypse is a friend.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Pero alam mo yun, I didn't feel like that felt like a cash grab. When I heard about that idea, that felt like a nostalgia grab. This one, what Dexcon did, what Decada did, parang it was a proper tribute without having to get a grab of what happened before. You know what I mean? So I think it was a really fitting way to celebrate 10 years. Like, I don't even care what some people say. I don't care if the pandemic took away 2 years of our life. Diba? The years don't cancel out just because we didn't get to live. Diba? So 10 years is 10 years. It's been 10 years since the business. Like if that doesn't count, then I shouldn't be turning 34 soon. Diba? So alam mo yun, I enjoy what they did. I feel like it was a fitting tribute by genuine wrestling fans to the performers.
Sa sobrang tribute niya to 10 years of wrestling, hanggang ngayon may fingerprints pa rin ni Classical Brian Leo
Oh
sa
God,
Dexcon
Jesus
Negada.
Christ. Oh yeah. That's the ghost that won't die.
In a nutshell, he's the reason why the ring is where it is.
Uh,
And not anywhere else.
Jesus. Yeah. That's a story we'll tell someday.
Fucking hell.
Hindi naman siya big deal kasi
I mean, it's the reason why we're all in Brawl Pit Bulusan,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
No, that's not the only reason why. Alam mo yan, pero it is a major reason why.
Yeah, because the ring is a major part of the show.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. We're not shitting on Brawl Pit Bulusan either.
Yeah,
Just
we're
saying,
not. It's a great venue. I've come to love it over the years.
someone's boneheaded decision led to the ring just being there and there alone. Okay, King and Queen of the Ring. Let's get some reactions, boys. Any shocking developments? Kung wala, any shocking developments you would have wanted to see?
Wala. No, it wasn't. It was a show that needed to happen. Like well, for me, the most shocking thing was Chad Gable didn't win. That's if that's the most shocking thing I could think of, then the chips fell where I would have liked them to fall. Diba? What do you think, Emile?
Ako naman the live win was kind of shocking in a way. I mean, but again, at that point nung PLE, wala pang news about Becky's contract situation. And there were already rumors and rumblings, but it's like, yeah, she's gonna resign. Like there's no way na she's letting her contract expire. But after that, doon na nagsimula yun eh. Doon na nagsimula doon na nagsimula na magnify yung mga rumors and the news. So that was a shocking win as well. Dominic being involved, that was a shock, like how he got involved. But after Raw earlier, probably it's not a shock anymore. So um, yung sa King and Queen of the Ring, no surprises there as well. I mean, we all expected Gunter and Naya to win. Although that finish on the Queen of the Ring match was so brutal. Yung inupuan ni Naya si Lyra Valkyria from the middle rope.
Oh yeah, that was good.
That was good. Yeah. Also the main event was also fun. They did such a good job of convincing me that Logan was gonna win the title because he was pulling all these antics yung brass knucks, that beautiful shot of his frog splash
Mm.
dun sa announcer's table, which it came out na sa kanya pala galing yung idea na yun.
Yung drone.
Yung drone shot, which is that's pretty cool. And then nakakatawa lang talaga because a comedian was the reason why Logan Paul lost. A comedian who was a guest ring announcer got involved at the end. So in a way, it kind of made Cody look like a chump because he needed a help from someone who isn't even a wrestler to win
No,
the match.
no, it wasn't him needing help. More of ano it was Logan was about to commit another crime, diba? And then
Yeah.
somebody a friend stopped him from doing that crime. But it's not like, it's not like Cody would have not survived that, you know.
Oh, yeah. So, aside from those couple of things, the Liv Morgan win, there wasn't really any consequential that happened on the show. This is one of those things now. Okay, it's a Saudi show. We need to we need to do this, and then we're gonna move on to the next thing.
All right. Let's go to AEW and talk about Double or Nothing. Let's start at the end because it ended with anarchy in the arena. And on our live streams predictions row, you were very adamant. It had to end with a world championship, Swerve
Yeah.
Strickland versus Christian Cage, and that is not what happened.
It's funny kasi nung umpisa ng match, when the themes were still playing, right? I agreed with the decision na okay, it had to end with this match because it felt like one big wrestling party. There was music, there was wrestling, they were brawling in the crowd, there were crazy spots. They were just having a lot of fun and doing shit that popped them. And okay, sige, I can get with this vibe. It's a fitting choice for the end, but the ending, which also I think I called, the heel team had to win because what are we doing here? If the Young Bucks had to lose their first major match as a unit before after making their big corporate heel turn, diba? So I get that. So if you were gonna end on a down note, then I go back to what I said. Na it should have not ended the show. Because Christian Cage and Swerve had a great match before that, and that was a high for them, diba? Kasi nanalo secretly Swerve. So I get the implications, the major implications of why Anarchy in the arena had to end, but on a pure vibes standpoint, Swerve should have ended the show, or even MJF, diba? Anyone.
For me naman, sinabi ko din nung Thursday na I think the Anarchy will end the show just because it's a tradition of Double or Nothing to end with either the Stadium Stampede or the Anarchy in the arena. And okay lang yun kasi I haven't really watched the show, but sobrang daming viral moments from the Anarchy in the arena that went trending on Twitter. Darby Allin lighting Jack Perry on fire.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Yeah,
I said
we are in no way glorifying it.
no,
It's
I'm not
done
gonna
well.
glorify this. My take aged like milk from last Thursday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sabi ko na Darby wasn't dumb enough to set someone on fire. And then he was actually dumb enough to set someone on fire. But the people involved were not dumb enough to not plan how that spot was going to go down. There's a video that came out on Twitter where parang pinractice ni Jack Perry yung spot. He was wearing flame retardant pants, and I believe there was gel all over him that kind of stopped this. So he was able to demonstrate how to safely light your pants on fire. And that's what they did. Not only did they safely do that, the Young Bucks were also at the ready with fire extinguishers, which should be how these matches should go, how these spots should go. Diba? Pag tayong tatanga-tanga na sisilaban ng sariling balat, diba?
Also, there was this one clip I saw of Daniel Bryan doing his comeback. Tapos si Darby Allin
Yeah.
nakapit
Yeah. So the crowd,
patiwarik.
the crowd was chanting, "Please help Darby." That was the funniest chant I heard all night.
May please pa kasi.
Like, Daniel Bryan was doing his thing, pero di na tulungan yung kampi niya, nakapatiwarik sa sa ere. So, again, the the wildness of this match is why it's always in the main event. Because after this, after the Anarchy in the Arena, I don't think any match would follow it up and do a good, like a great performance. That's why they always save this at the end.
Yeah, but I thought no, yun nga eh. Usually before the winners would be faces, diba? Kasi it was a big party match. So I they could have topped the vibe again with Swerve winning at the end by retaining, diba? Although gets ka naman, yeah. Uh I would have also I would have figured out a way to make it make sense as the last match, yung World Championship match. Like, okay, panalo yung Bucks, diba? So, it's up to Christian to finish the job once and for all, diba?
All right. Uh, you mentioned MJF, Ro. Let's talk about it. MJF returned with a look that was giving Triple H from the Royal Rumble in 2002. And then Adam Cole was also there. They got physical, which to me implies na healthy na sila. They're cleared for in-ring action at the very least.
No, see, Adam Cole, I know is not yet cleared. I know that,
Despite
um,
taking that spike.
yeah, he's just rehabbing the foot, but I don't think he can run around and walk around with it just yet. Although he can walk, I don't think he can run too much with it. But yeah, MJF was there. He didn't quite address yung feud nila with Adam Cole, right? Yung feud niya with Adam Cole, right? I don't think he alluded to it too much. All he did was saying that, okay, I'm done being the face experiment was done, diba? With when he and Adam Cole were best friends, diba? And now he's going back to the hateful character that everyone loves from him. And to me, it's lazy, yes. But again, after the experiment, I can say now, okay, I am one of the few who enjoyed the character development. The rest of the fans liked the juvenile MJF, and that's totally understandable. It's not that I don't like it. It's more of I felt like he needed to grow up from it. But that didn't work kasi syempre gusto ng mga fans yung talk shit to MJF na very intense, very a lot of zingers, shouting all the time, and what? Okay, maybe one day we'll get the permanent character development, but I don't think we ever will.
This feels like a reset of the MJF character, like you said, bro. He's back to hindi naman sa old MJF, but it's something new. Na yes, like not hindi nga siya nakasuit, di ba? Like when he came out, he was wearing that jacket and he had the Tron on the screen was a little bit darker, so I guess okay, it's a darker version of MJF, much more vicious. Yung hair niya di nakaayos. So I will give credit to MJF if he's actually trying something new here. Kasi he has been given time to rest and probably think about what he's going to be when he returns. And also did that rah speech about AEW and it being his home. He doesn't need now New Japan or WWE to be MJF. Like MJF is the reason why he's MJF. So all those things that he said. So um, I think they're gonna go back to that feud eventually. The yung Devil kasi like he attacked Adam Cole, so they're gonna probably going to have that match at some point.
Yeah, I think they will. It's just that hindi pa soon kasi
Di pa
MJF
soon.
is cleared, but Adam Cole is not. So I don't know, whatever. They'll do some stuff, but um, I think we are also past it na. The unfortunate injuries have happened, and then the mishandling of the Undisputed Kingdom has happened. So I don't think it's a feud people want to see anymore. That ship has sailed for now. They can always heat it back up.
Arthur Ashe.
Yeah. No. It's not that. It's not the injury per se. It's how the Undisputed
went
Kingdom
down, yeah.
became a non-thing
Yep.
after the big reveal.
Yeah.
So they had the most successful unit member of that unit since the reveal was Roddy Strong.
Right.
They were building up Wardlow, and then nothing happened to Wardlow yet again. So that guy has to leave AEW at this point. So I don't know what it's gonna mean. Obviously, Adam Cole is not gonna be the face in the feud. People really love MJF. No matter what he does, he'll have that support. Ironically, the MJF turning good is what turns people off. So that's weird.
Mhm.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. We also got MJF basically confirming that he'd re-signed with AEW, as if that wasn't obvious enough, diba? But then again, given what we've come to know about AEW and MJF, parang never naman in doubt. I don't know. I never really believed na he would go to WWE.
Yeah,
Do
me
you guys
too.
think?
Yeah. No.
Diba? People were
No,
like,
yeah,
people would message me and be like, "Oh, what if you suddenly call an MJF moment?" I'm like, "Talaga?"
it would be nice, pero I think MJF knows that he owes a lot to Tony Khan, diba? And I think MJF is also able to possibly come up with stories that he knows would work, even if it doesn't work all the time, like the four pillar stuff. I think he knows the mas in control siya in AEW, and he can help AEW soar to heights that uh it might not without him.
Let's talk about the women, not the Women's World Championship, because it's clearly the B feud. The A story is Mercedes Moné being the new TBS champion, as we all expected and called. But then Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway turned on Willow Nightingale. Let's start with that. Was it necessary?
No. Lahat na lang ba ng mag-best friends sa wrestling will turn on each other? Like that trope has been done way too much at this point.
I don't like it because Trent just turned on Orange
Ah,
Cassidy
yun,
and
isa
and
pa.
Chuck Taylor, and then Chris Statlander specifically was the person to try and get in between them. So unless they retcon it by saying, okay, Trent inspired me to do this and that, blah blah blah, I can forgive it. But for now, I don't think that's the case. Kasi si Stoke yung ano eh, yung parang enabler niya, eh, diba? So uh, you're right that I didn't quite need another betrayal storyline, especially when I could see one happening between Mariah May and Tony Storm. Um, it it does feel like they're doing it to make Willow a more sympathetic character, but she already is, and then it was already getting good that she wasn't. But okay, I can get na if they're lighting a fire under her ass even further na to make her a little less happy go lucky. Okay, sure, but well, I I didn't think this was what Chris Statlander needed either.
Yeah, it's kind of
Kasi,
weird that they're trying to make Willow more sympathetic this way. Because for me, she's like NXT Bailey, the hugger, diba? And
Mm.
uh,
I do think there's a space for the all-around good guy or good girl character, diba? Again, we go back to Rey Mysterio and John Cena never turning heel, and I think Willow Nightingale is that character right now in AEW Women's Division because siya lang yung pure na babyface dun eh.
yeah,
But
she
to
is.
have her friends turn on her, parang overkill siya for me kasi the fact na everyone else is either a heel or has shades of gray is already enough to make people root for Willow or sympathize with Willow. I don't know about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't need Willow to be even more sympathetic because I already get behind Willow because she's
Mm.
already not your stereotypical you know
Women's wrestler.
women's wrestler na usually getting pushed, diba?
Yeah.
So Chris even isn't even the first person to turn on Willow in the last 6 months. Naalala natin si Sky Blue, diba?
Yeah, yeah,
She
yun
was
pa.
also an ally of Willow. So if you're sending a message that your pure babyface doesn't have any friends, saying that's not good. That's not good writing. Because if you're a good person, then you should be able to have friends by your side, right? So, like they are overdoing betrayal storylines in AW. I mean, sobrang dami na. Like we had
It's
Christian Jungle Boy, you
yeah,
had
yeah.
Nick
Swerve
Wayne.
and
Oh, Swerve
the
Mowgli.
embassy, yeah.
Oh, diba? So, they are overdoing this trope nga, like I
No,
said.
it's really because there are so many people in AEW. Like it's the same thing. It's the same problem that WWE has with groups breaking up because there are so many groups. So when you have a critical mass of talent, you will repeat the stories, and you if you have like 3 shows to spend right to fill, you will repeat stories, and I think it's also it's both a bug and a feature of modern wrestling and how packed it is because there's so much good talent and so much airtime to go around.
All right, let's close things out for Double or Nothing by talking about Adam Copeland. Was it too much na nanalo siya and then they were able to rain blood down on Malachi Black and Gangrel came out and gave Adam the assist?
Um, well, I'm kind of biased. I like the Adam Copeland championship run, diba? And I like what he's doing there. People are complaining, oh, isn't Adam Copeland here to put over young guys? Let's not forget that when people say that about veteran wrestlers, it doesn't mean they lose to young guys all the time. It means they give the young guys exposure that they normally would not have gotten if the veteran wrestler did not decide or agree to work with them uh in on shows on TV, diba? So I a lot of people are getting that twisted because putting over for them for the fans always means magpapatalo ka. But it's not. It's just not the way it is. And if that did happen, and then you would see Adam Copeland lose a lot, you would also be complaining now. Okay, what's the point now? I say every time Adam Copeland gets into the ring, we know he's about to lose because he's here to put over the young guys. Diba? So I'd rather err on Cope winning a lot because he's the veteran. He's a living legend. He's the boss. He's a boss in the game. So I don't mind this. I do agree with the takes, Mass Man Show, that he shouldn't have just brought Gangrel. There should have been someone else. Like, why wasn't Kyle O'Reilly there? Diba? Was he written out of the show?
I have no idea.
Diba?
Who do you want to
I mean,
expect? Who do you
Kyle.
want if not Kyle O'Reilly? Bam Neely?
Family. Anyone. Yung mga yung mga faces na tinalo ni Cope sa Cope Open, diba?
Okay.
Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, Daniel Garcia. Yeah, he was about to but he was supposed to do a thing with him. And then they were not able to.
Yeah.
So yun, ang daming But I don't hate the result. It's just that it has to happen. Maybe Malachi is leaving. Who knows?
Ako naman, I'm okay with Adam winning kasi all throughout the feud, the House of Black was kicking his ass. So he has to get his
he had to win, right?
Oh, he
that
had
was
to
a putting
win here.
over. He was allowing his ass to be kicked. Yeah.
Oh, and I want to give a shout out, by the way, to that spot when he jumped from the top of the cage, and he almost, I don't know if he landed on his feet, but he almost landed on his feet, which was scary to watch because he could easily blow out the knee doing that. But the win was okay. It was the right result. In terms of Malachi, a lot of people are really talking about this. Like ever since last year, people are talking about they want Malachi to leave AEW because for them he's not exerting effort to put over wrestlers, to put over. Parang ayaw niya in a lot of people's perception, ayaw niya magpapatalo. That's why he's always doing six-man or tag matches. So I don't know. I don't know his contract situation, but a lot of people really want him to leave for some reason. Like,
because they think the reason why they want him to leave is because they think that he's being quote unquote wasted in AEW, where the arenas are half empty, instead of WWE, where they forgot the fact that they weren't gonna book him the way he wanted to be booked, which is more often as a wrestler and not just a special attraction, diba? So yun yung sinasabi nila bakit na gustong umalis si Adam Copeland from AEW.
Adam Copeland or Malachi Black?
Malachi.
Sorry. Oh, Malachi. Sorry. It's actually also the same thing. Anyone who came from WWE and is now in AEW, people want them to go back to WWE because they think AEW isn't worth the half-empty arenas.
I wouldn't know, man. I still think the money is real either way, diba?
The money. Company. No, tsaka, who cares? I mean, the money is real, one, yes. And two, if you still are getting to wrestle the way you want to wrestle, even better, diba? Like, what has Andrade done over the past month?
Oh,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Poor guy. Can't get booked anywhere.
Those are our thoughts on what has been a huge week in Philippine wrestling. yun, so much to talk about. Medyo napahaba tong weekend reactions episode namin. Sorry, babyface producer Jasper.
Sorry,
And
Jasper.
thank you to everyone over at the Pod Network for putting up with all of our shenanigans. We got to get out of here. Picks of the week coming up on your feed as well. And then magkikita-kita tayo for the live stream at 7 p.m. on Thursday on the Wrestling Podcast Facebook page and YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on social media at Wrestling2XPod on TikTok and on Twitter. Individually, it is at EML_Meister, at Roas War, at Gino Supersized, at Monday Night Rowan, and at _Stan C. For Emile Nate and Ro Moran, as well as Rowan ASH and Gino Liao, both of whom can't be here with us on this episode, my name is Stan C, saying, happy 10 years, Pinoy Wrestling. Thank you for catching another episode of the Wrestling Podcast. Stay safe, stay dry, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast. Out. Later, Outcasts.
Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.